Okay, come on. Good evening, you. Good evening, and happy 49th birthday to hip hop and to the people repping USA, Canada, Long Island, aka Strong Island, worldwide, and the five spots of Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan, Staten Island, and Queens. This is G Money Stacks, aka the Gregonator, YouTuber, host with the most, creator, misunderstood lonely nomad, unstoppable independent podcaster, and rookie podcaster of Queens, New York, and also an essential worker as well. And you're rocking with the 75th episode of Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, the review show, live and direct from StreamYard, YouTube, and along with myself, it's the Instagram live feed. And turn on your notifications on the gram so you don't miss a beat of when each episode is going to be dropping. And and I decided on an added day that I am going to also drop the episodes whatsoever. But let me get to the YouTube channel handle right here. If you're new to the channel from the YouTube universe and you missed new and previous latest episodes, don't worry, I got your back. Go ahead and grab that subscribe button on the YouTube channel, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, and tap that noni bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream. Of course, leave a like and a comment along with the episodes and the topics that's being discussed. And of course, more video content, upcoming episodes, and previous episodes so you can catch up on all of them. And I will handle the rest of where you could listen to the episodes, where you could stream and listen on audio streaming platforms. Make sure you follow. Make sure you follow them on every streaming platform, including this podcast right here, including Instagram as well. So make sure you follow Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast on the gram as well. Now, I decided to add a day to drop an episode, not just Tuesdays and Saturdays. I am going to start with I'm going to start with Fridays. After this recording of episode 75, it will be dropped on Friday. And then 76 will be dropped on Tuesday. And the rest will be Fridays and Saturdays, all right? So here's the new schedule of the audio episodes. It's going to be Tuesdays, Fridays is added, and Saturdays. All right. Now, in case anything comes up or whatever, and I miss a day to drop an episode, I got another day to actually do this. So there you go, right there. Yes, and as far as how I'm feeling mentally, physically, and spiritually overall, I'm actually doing well for myself so far, actually. And even though I have some catching up to do with the review show and the sports podcast and stuff, so yesterday I recorded episode 32. Make sure you check that out as well on the Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast YouTube channel page. Make sure you subscribe to that. Make sure you subscribe to this channel, and also yeah. So I pretty much it was pretty cool, man. I mean, all I did was work. There was a festival by Jamaica Avenue, which is the Jamaica Music Arts Festival, but I couldn't go because of the heat wave. The heat wave was just unbearable for me to be out there. So hopefully by next summer, if it's not a heat wave, I will see if I can go. Because the last time I went for the first time was 2009. And yeah, yeah, that's pretty much it, man. So let's get this show cracking right here, man. And I'm going to start off with I want to start off with Music Kool Aid because today's Hip Hop Appreciation Day slash birthday, and it turned the music genre hip hop had turned 49 today. Next year will be 50, so I didn't lose track of that. So let's I want you to grab your glasses, your waters, your juices, and all that other good stuff whatsoever, and take a sip of this Music Kool Aid right here. This segment right here is a little different from the usual music review show, but because today is the birthday of hip hop, um I figured we go over some things, starting with the history behind it. So let's get to it. Now this is from the source article right here. Um okay, so now it was on this day 49 years ago, August 11th, 1973, that Kool Herc threw his legendary Back to School basement party, which would go on to create the foundation for hip hop music through break the breakbeat DJ technique he used to keep the party rocking. Many aspiring MCs at the time paired the break with the rhymes flowing through their minds, jumping no, excuse me, jump starting a sound and movement that is now considered to be the most popular genre in music, which is hip hop. Many are familiar with the story of the 1520 Cedric Avenue Recreation Center and how Jamaican born Hart attracted the youth from the community and other boroughs that had already made names for themselves in other aspects as aspects of the culture. Of course, it included b-boying, graffiti, and MCing. What has been often omitted from history is the climate in NYC, where the city was on the brink of bankruptcy while crime and white flight was at an all-time high. All-time high, huh? These were the circumstances in which the culture of hip hop was born and thrived throughout the city for about a decade before it became recognized by the mainstream. Salute to the pioneers of the era, such as Kool Herc, Africa Bambaataa, Coke Leroy, um, yeah, Grandmaster Flash, and the Furious Five, the Funky Four plus one more, the Magnificent Seven, and a host of others who were there at the foundation. Thank you for giving us what we can document now as hip hop history. So happy birthday to hip hop since it turned 49. I'd like to make some noise. Let's make some noise for hip hop turning 49 and turning 50 next year. right. All right. Now we can go over the movie Resident Evil alongside with the TV show that's out right now and the games as well. So let's start with let's start with the films first. Today's Chillax Man Cave Popcorn Lounge segment is about Resident Evil. Of course, Resident Evil, the movies and the video games and the TV show, which I will review in a couple of minutes. So just bear with me. So here it is. So, of course, Resident Evil is an action horror film series based on the Japanese video game franchise by Capcom. Capcom. So it stars Mila Jokovic, Michelle Rodriguez, Ali Lauder, Sienna Guillory, Audit Fur, Ian Glenn, and Sean Roberts. The budget was $313 million, and at the box office it did $1.280 billion. The German studio Const- Constantine Film bought the rights to adapt the series in January 1998. In 2001, Screen Gems acquired distribution rights and hired Paul W. S. Anderson as writer and director for Resident Evil 2002. Anderson continued as writer and producer for Resident Evil Apocalypse 2004. All right, let's. All right. Yeah, and Resident Evil Extinction, and returned as the director for Resident Evil Afterlife and Resident Evil Retribution, and Resident Evil The Final Chapter 2016. So wow. These first 6 films follow Alice, played by Mila Jokovic, a character created for the films. Alice is a former security specialist and covert operative who battles the Umbrella Corporation, whose bioweapons have triggered a zombie apocalypse. Characters from the games appear, including Claire Redfield, Jill Valentine, Ada Wong, um, Carlos Oliveira, Chris Redfield, Leon S. Kennedy, Barry Burton, and the antagonists Albert Wesker and James Marcus. In 2021, a reboot film, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, was released. Though the films have received generally negative reviews from critics, the Resident Evil series has grossed over $1.2 billion. It was once the highest grossing film series based on a video game, the highest grossing zombie film series, and the highest grossing horror film series, although it has since been surpassed in all of these categories. The series retains the record for the most live action adaptations of a video game. Now, let's go over these films, man. Let's go over the So Resident Evil is a 2002 action horror film written and directed by Paul W. S. Anderson. The film stars Mila Jokovic, Michelle Rodriguez, Eric Mabius, James Purefoy, Martin Cruz, and Colin Salmon. It is the first installment in the Resident Evil film series, which is loosely based on the video game series of the same name. The films was initially titled Resident Evil Ground Zero, but was retitled after the September 11 attacks. Okay, so The budget was $33 million, and in the box office, it made $103 million. Borrowing elements from the video game Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2, the film follows amnesiac heroine Alice and a band of Umbrella Corporation commandos as they attempt to contain the outbreak of the T virus at a secret underground facility. The film received negative reviews from critics and grossed $103 million worldwide against a production budget of $33 million. Developed as a prequel set in the same continuity as the video game series, the film was followed by 5 sequels establishing their own alternative continuity. Apocalypse 2004, Extinction 2007, Afterlife 2010, Retribution, and the final chapter. Okay, so I don't know if I should go over the marketing. All right, so in March 2001, the official website was up, which revealed the film's original October 26, 2001 release and a redirect to the film's production company, Constantine Film. The website was fully open in July 2001 and composed of images, plot info, character biographies, and downloads. The film was planned to have an R-rated classification, which is what Anderson wanted since he knew the film had to be rated R in order to capture the horror of the games. In January 2002, the film was officially announced to contain an R rating. According to Fangoria, number 211, interviews and commentary with Anderson, movie was originally rated NC-17. I'm not sure what that is. And he had to make cuts for R rating. It was long rumored, even by Anderson himself, that the uncut version will be released, but it never was. In May 2001, it was announced that Sony Pictures releasing would distribute the film in North America through their Screen Gems label. It was suggested by Capcom executives that the film would not be released in 2001, but rather in 2002, which was later confirmed by Sony in August 2001. The film was set for release on April 5th, 2002, before being pushed forward to a March 15th release. In December 2001, it was announced that Pat and Film 4 had acquired the British theatrical distribution rights to the movie as part of a partnership between the two companies. They would both share acquisition and distribution costs and divide profits equally, while Pat's UK distribution arm would handle distribution. In December 2001, Sony gave fans a chance to design the film's poster with a prize of an undisclosed amount of cash, a free screening of the film, and with the final design being the film's poster. On February 16, 2002, Nick Barres, actually, a 23-year-old aspiring actor and ex-video game magazine designer, was announced as the winner of the competition. The film's trailer and clips were released in late January and early February 2002. Resident Evil was released on March 15, 2002 in the U.S. On June 29, 2004, over 2 years after the film's release, a novelization by Keith R. A. D. Candido was published. Now we go to the reception. So the box office. So the film opened in 2,528 theaters and grossed $17,707,106 on its opening weekend between March 15th to the 17th, 2002, ranking in second place behind Ice Age. The film grossed $40,119,700 domestically and 103,787,401 worldwide. Critical response. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a score of 36% on reviews from 131 critics and an average rating of 4.6 out of 10. The consensus reads, like other video game adaptations, Resident Evil is loud, violent, formulaic, and cheesy. On Metacritic, the film has an average score of 33 out of 100, based on 24 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A+ to F scale. That sucks. Robert K. Elder from the Chicago Tribune stated the film updates the zombie genre with an anti-corporate message while still scaring its audience and providing heart-pounding action. Owen Gleiberman from Entertainment Weekly noted the film is as impersonal in its relentlessness as the video game series that inspired it. Both Resident Evil and the sequel appear on Roger Ebert's most hated films list, published in 2005. In his review, Ebert describes Resident Evil as a zombie movie set in the 21st century, where large metallic objects make crashing noises just by being looked at, and he criticizes the dialogue for being a series of commands and explanations with no small talk. In 2014, filmmaker James Cameron named Resident Evil his biggest guilty pleasure. And accolades: 2002 Golden Schmoes Award. Damn, that's fucked up though, man. Most underrated movie of the year, best horror movie of the year, best T&A of the year. Okay, so Resident Evil and Mia Jovovich got a nomination. 29th Saturn Awards 2003, best horror film, best actress. Resident Evil and Mia Jovovich got the nomination. And German Camera Awards, outstanding editing in a feature film, Alexander Berner. 2004 Golden Trailer Awards, most original, Ignition Creative, all got nominations. All right. Okay. Now we go to the next one. Resident Evil Apocalypse is a 2004 action horror film directed by Alexander Witt and written by Paul W.S. Anderson. A direct sequel to 2002's Resident Evil. It is the second installment in the Resident Evil film series, which is loosely based on the video game series of the same name. The film marks Witt's feature directorial debut. Anderson, the director of the first film, turned down the job due to other commitments, though stayed on as one of its producers. Mila Jovovich reprises her role as Alice and is joined by Sienna Guillory and Jill Valentine and Adit Fur and Carlos Oliveira. So yeah. All right. So okay, Resident Evil is set directly after the events of the first film, where Alice escaped from an underground facility overrun by zombies. She now bands together with other survivors to escape the zombie outbreak, which has spread to the nearby Raccoon City. The film borrows elements from several games in the Resident Evil series, such as the characters Valentine and Oliveira, and the villain Nemesis. Filming took place in Toronto at locations including Toronto City Hall and Prince Edward Viaduct. Resident Evil Apocalypse received generally unfavorable reviews on Metacritic and became the lowest rated film in the Resident Evil series on Rotten Tomatoes with a rating of 19%, earning $129 million worldwide on a $45 million budget. It surpassed the box office gross of the original film. It was followed by Resident Evil Extinction in 2007, which will be reviewed next. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Yeah. All right, let's go to the next one. Okay, the next movie is, hang on a minute here. The next movie is Resident Evil Extinction. Okay, Resident Evil Extinction is a 2007 action horror film directed by Russell Maka, Mulcahy. Mulcahy, yes, and written by Paul W.S. Anderson, a direct sequel to Resident Evil Apocalypse. It is the third installment in the Resident Evil film series, which is loosely based on the Capcom survival horror video game series of the same name. The film follows the heroine Alice along with a group of survivors from Raccoon City as they attempt to travel across the Mojave Desert wilderness to Alaska and escape a zombie apocalypse. And hold on a minute here. Hold on. Obviously, Mia Jokovic, Adifir, Ali Lauder, um, Ian Glenn. You know what's crazy when I heard about this movie? I did not know Ashanti and Mike Epps was in this movie. I was like, damn. Oh man, that's crazy, man. But nah, man. Okay, the thing I hate about horror films when it comes to certain actors and actresses and stuff like that, especially African Americans, is that they end up being the first individuals to end up dead. I'm like, yo, when does this ever stop though, man? Like, why are you letting African American people be the first people to die? Because they do stupid shit though. If you really think about it though. They do the stupidest shit ever, man. Folks, I'm not kidding. I'm dead ass serious though, man. Oh shit. Anyway, man. Yeah, Christopher Egan, Spencer Locke, and Jason O'Mara. Okay. All right, so um in November 2005, Screen Gems gained the rights for the third installment in the franchise, which was then subtitled Extinction. Anderson returned as a writer, and filming took place in Mexico with Makahi as the director. Um, Resident Evil Extinction was released in the United States on September 21st, 2007, and was released in the United Kingdom on October 12th, 2007 by Sony Pictures, releasing the DVD and Blu-ray versions were released in North America on January 1st, 2008. The film grossed $147 million against a $45 million budget. A fourth film, Resident Evil Afterlife, was released in 2010. Now we go to the reception. So the film was the number one movie at the North American box office on its opening weekend, grossing $23 million in 2,828 theaters, averaging what is it, 8,372 per theater, $8,372 per theater. As of January 1st, 2008, the film had grossed $50,648,679 domestically and $97 million internationally for a worldwide total of $148.4 million. Critical response on Rotten Tomatoes, it has an approval rating of 25% based on 101 reviews with an average rating of 4.4 out of 10. The site's critics consensus reads, Resident Evil Extinction is more of the same. It's few impressive action sequences, unable to compensate for the pedestrian plot. On Metacritic, it has a score of 41 out of 100 based on reviews from 12 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences surveyed by CinemaScore gave the film a grade B minus on a A to F scale. Stephen Hayden of the Onions, the Onions AV Club, and that the movie delivers some simple-minded thrills and praised the solidly effective Killer Raven sequence, but felt the film was too predictable, saying anybody who has ever seen a zombie movie can figure out what happens next. Somebody will get bit without telling the others, which will inevitably backfire. Survivors will be forced to shoot suddenly undead friends in the head. One of them, dastardly science folk, will protect the monsters in order to study them, which will also inevitably backfire. And legions of undead will be re-killed in surprisingly easy fashion. Kevin Crust, oh shit, of the Los Angeles Times praised the films rather, saying that the story and characters are surprisingly engaging, with fight scenes and scares effectively placed between plot turns, although he felt that the ending was too open-ended. Kyle Smith of the New York Post gave Extinction half a star out of possible 4, saying that the film was no more interesting than watching someone else play with his PlayStation. Wow. Scott Brown of Entertainment Weekly said that Extinction plays like a flabby middle chapter, full of nerdy details, but fraudulently short on the ruined Vegas scape that ads have been promising. Jack Matthews of the New York Daily News gave the film a score of 1.5 stars out of 5, calling the action scenes monotonous and urging audiences to flee this yawn of the dead. Helen O'Hara of Empire gave Extinction a score of 2 out of 5, but said that the film was better than Resident Evil Apocalypse and had an effective, creepy, empty world setting. Frank Scheck says that as the film is fast-paced and filled with brisk action sequences, it should reasonably satisfy the devotees. Maitland McDonald of TV Guide gave the film a score of 2.5 stars out of 4, saying equal parts Mad Max and Day of the Dead, Extinction is no less derivative than its predecessors, but moves along at a brisk clip. Pete Von der Haar of Film Threat gave Extinction a score of 3 out of 5, saying that the film had rather lazy pacing, but added that the way Anderson keeps upping the ante with regard to Alice's ultimate fate continues to amuse. A common complaint was the noticeable digital airbrushing on many close-up shots of Yokovic's face, which many reviewers found bizarre or unnecessary. The film won the Golden Trailer Award for Best Action Poster and was nominated for Best TV Spot. Okay, we got Resident Evil Afterlife. Of course, um, Resident Evil Afterlife is a 2010 action horror film written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. The film marks Anderson's return to direct in the Resident Evil film series. The first After the first film, the direct sequel to Resident Evil Extinction 2007, it is the fourth installment in the Resident Evil film series, which is loosely based on the video game series of the same name and the first to be shot in 3D. It stars Mila Jovovich, Ali Lauder, Kim Coates, Sean Roberts, Spencer Locke, Boris Kodjoe, and Wentworth Miller. Yeah. And so the film follows Alice searching for and rescuing the remaining survivors in Los Angeles after the T virus outbreak and teaming up against Albert Wesker, the head of the Umbrella Corporation. Chris Redfield, a primary character from the video games, was featured for the first time in the film franchise. Other characters from the games and films who returned are Claire Redfield, Chris's sister who has lost her memory prior to the film's events, Albert Wesker, the film's main antagonist, and Jill Valentine, who made a cameo appearance. In May 2005, producers mentioned the possibility of following Extinction with a sequel titled Afterlife. Extinction was released in 2007 and was a box office success, prompting Afterlife to begin development in June 2008, with the script being written by Anderson that December. Elements from the video game Resident Evil 5, 2009, were incorporated into the film, including the mind control devices and Chris' confrontation with Wesker. Filming took place in Toronto from September to December 2009 using the 3D Fusion camera system. The film was released in 2D and 3D and IMAX 3D theaters on September 10, 2010, to generally negative reviews. The film grossed $60 million in the United States and Canada on an estimated $60 million budget, and made $240 million in other markets, surpassing the previous film's overseas total in the second week of release. Grossing a worldwide total of $300 million, Resident Evil Afterlife became the second highest grossing entry of the series. Resident Evil Afterlife was released on DVD, Blu-ray, and Blu-ray 3D on December 28th, 2010 in the United States. The fifth film, Resident Evil Retribution, was released in 2012. Now we go to okay. Yeah, I just hold on a minute. Hold on a minute here. All right, let's go over the box office for United States and Canada. Resident Evil Afterlife opened on an approximately 4,700 screens in 3,203 locations with 2,002. Hold on a minute. Who just came in? Oh my God. Hold on. Yo, what is yo, hold on. Let me give a shout out to Designer Jewelers, man, real quick, man. These are the cats from Long Island. What's up with y'all? I see y'all. Y'all working hard with your businesses and stuff like that. Yo, man. Um, yeah. Hope y'all doing okay, man. Anyway, so where was I? Yeah, where was I? Oh, yes. 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 Fourth. Wait. Yes, in Canada, the film opened an additional 250 theaters through Alliance Films. The film opened at number one and took in $10.7 million on its opening day and 26.6 million on its opening weekend. By its second weekend, the film had dropped to fourth place in with new release The Town taking its first place spot. It grossed $10 million, a 63% decrease in ticket sales from its opening weekend. It fell to seventh place by its third weekend, grossing 4.9 million dollars, and was removed from 567 theaters. On its fourth weekend, Resident Evil Afterlife moved to 11th place with the new release Case 39 at number one, which while grossing $2.7 million and being dropped from 735 theaters. For the film's fifth weekend, it made $1.2 million, a 54% decrease from the previous weekend, and was removed from an additional 895 theaters. And for its sixth and seventh and eighth weekends, it had dropped to $347,000, $1,264, $137,502 and $70,474 respectively, and was playing in 140 theaters by its eighth and final weekend. The film closed out of theaters on November 4th, 2010, after 56 days of release. Other countries, on September 15th, Resident Evil Afterlife opened in 30 countries, bumping Inception from first place and grossing $42.3 million from 3,559 screens, and with 3D screenings accounting for 81% of total earnings, thereby becoming the most successful overseas debut of the entire series. More than one third of the total came from a $15.5 million 3-day launch in Japan. Additionally, the film grossed $6.4 million in Russia, $3.3 million in Spain, $2.95 million in Taiwan, and $2.6 million in the UK. By September 19th, it had passed Resident Evil Extinction's $97.1 million overseas total. The following day, it has surpassed Extinction's total of $103.2 million overseas, $148.8 million worldwide, to become the highest grossing entry of the series. During its second weekend, the film grossed $40 million, with $5.3 million of it in Germany, $3.2 million in Mexico, $3.1 million in South Korea, and $2.9 million in Brazil. Japanese ticket sales grossed $5.1 million, with Russia adding another $4.2 million. By its third weekend, it was still at number one, grossing $24.3 million, with an opening in France adding $3.5 million of it. Hong Kong added another $768,324. The film remained at number one for its fourth weekend, grossing $15.6 million. On its fifth weekend, it grossed $8 million, dropping to fifth place, being replaced by Eat, Pray, Love at number one. By its seventh weekend, ticket sales had dropped to $9.1 million gross, with fully $9 million of that coming from its opening in China. And overall, Resident Evil Afterlife only missed by about $1.5 million. The three previous films in the series had made combined worldwide overview. The film grossed $60 million in the US and Canada, with $240 million in other markets for a worldwide total of $300 million. Um, in the United States, the high box office gross was attributed to the ticket price inflation of the 3D presentation, but the film had the lowest opening weekend attendance of the film series. On November 23rd, 2010, Resident Evil Afterlife became the most successful production in Canadian feature film history, as well as the highest grossing zombie film. It is also the highest grossing film to be released by Screen Gems. Worldwide, it is the fourth highest grossing video game film video game film of all time, behind Warcraft, which made $433.5 million. The Angry Birds movie, um, $347.1 million, and The Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time, which made $336.4 million. Okay, now we go to the critical response. Resident Evil Afterlife was not screened in advance for critics. Review aggregator Rotten Tomatoes gives the film um gives the film a score of 21% based on reviews from 107 critics with an average rating of 4.1 out of 10. Give me 1 second. Stay with me. The site's consensus states, end quote, as dim-witted and lifeless as its undead antagonist, Resident Evil Afterlife is a wholly unnecessary addition to the franchise. On Metacritic, which assigns a weighted average score out of 100 to reviews from mainstream critics, the film received an average score of 37 based on 14 reviews, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. CinemaScore polls reported that the average grade moviegoers gave the film was a B minus on an A plus to F scale. Michael Ordonia of the Los Angeles Times gave it a positive review, noting that slower cut of the film and saying that the action is easier to read than in most films of the genre, and therefore more enjoyable. Anderson makes particular use of sets and locations to ring out more bang for the stereoscopic buck. Phelan O'Neill of The Guardian gave the film 2 stars out of 5, praising the use of 3D while stating that the Resident Evil films always look good and have well staged action, but they don't have one iota of originality or imagination. Chicago readers Andrea Granville described the plot as nearly indiscernible, but did call the film the sleekest so far, thanks to 3D and star Mila Jokovich's body-hugging cat suit. Jeanette Katsolis of the New York Times gave the film a negative review, saying cannibalizing John Carpenter's Sting and much of the sci-fi horror canon, Afterlife is more moribund than its thronging undead. David Edwards of the Daily Mirror compared it to Resident Evil Extinction, stating that the results are even less impressive, which is saying quite something, and only fans of the series will care, with the film looking suspiciously like a series of barely connected action scenes and unimpressive 3D wielded to a who the hell cares? Oh shit. Plot. Who the hell cares plot? Oh shit. Come on. Spill.com critics Corey Coleman and co-host 3000 gave the film some old bullshit, the second lowest rating of the site. They criticized the overuse of slow motion, lack of explanation of certain plot elements, and long lapses in between action, but gave the film points of its cinematography, small bits of action 3D, and the special effects of the Axeman. Andrew Barker of Variety compared the film to the previous installment as equally moribund and perhaps even more shamelessly derivative. He compared Robert Wesker to Hugo Weaving's Agent Smith from The Matrix, calling it a slipshod impression. Particularly scathing review came from Brian Orndorff of Dark Horizons, who commented, perhaps the 3D motion picture to simulate the experience of watching paint dry. Resident Evil Afterlife is a dreadful bore that only occasionally comes to life. Come on. Oh, damn. People's Choice Award. It got a nomination for favorite horror movie for Resident Evil. Also, Resident Evil Afterlife. Arv Grey World got a nomination for best achievement in art direction, production design. Also, Resident Evil Afterlife. Denise Cronenberg got nominated for best achievement in costume design. And of course, Resident Evil Afterlife, Paul Jones, Leslie Serbert, Vincent Sullivan, all got nominations for Best Achievement in makeup. Resident Evil Afterlife, Mark Sifkovitz got a nomination for Best Achievement in overall sound. And Resident Evil Afterlife, Stephen Barton, Steve Bain, Kevin Banks, Alex Bullock, Jill Purdy got nominations for Best Achievement in Sound Editing. Golden Reel Awards. I'm sorry. So Genie Awards. Yeah, Genie Awards. Golden Reel Awards for Resident Evil Afterlife, and Scream Awards Best Science Film Actress. Mia Jovovich all won the award. So there it is right there, man. There it is. Now we go to the fifth one. Yeah, we go to the fifth one, man. Okay, now we go to the fifth one. Okay, the fifth one. I'm sorry. Hold on a minute here. Give me 1 second here. All right. All right. Okay, now we go to all right, we're gonna go to Resident Evil Retribution. Okay, Resident Evil Retribution is a 2012 action horror film written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. A sequel to Resident Evil Afterlife 2010, it is the fifth installment in the Resident Evil film series, loosely based on the video game franchise of the same name. It is also the third to be written and directed by Anderson after the first film and previous installment. Before I continue this, I want to say something real quick, actually, man. Now, as far as film creators who are the ones that's making the movies and stuff like that, I get why certain critics would actually say that there's hardly any loosely explanation for certain scenes or slow motion or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, there is no such thing as a perfect movie. Because if that were the case, there wouldn't be any room for mistakes and there wouldn't be any more room for growth. You know what I'm saying? And some there listen, there are some critics that are so fucking harsh and mean and shit. You know what I'm saying? It's like there's a difference between somebody being a film critic versus someone who is a film creator, okay, as far as the movies, all right. And look, you're not gonna be able to please every fucking body, okay? You're not gonna please everybody. That's not gonna happen. So you might as well, you know, please yourself. That's all you could do, man. Like, trying to make everybody happy is not going to really happen because then you're going to actually wear yourself out, wasting all your energy trying to please other people, and that's not worth it. So that's just me pointing out some shit though that I have to say on certain critics and stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. So I hope you folks out there have a better understanding on what it takes to make a movie and how the creative process is. And you're not there to please everybody. You're there to put yourself out there as far as movie theaters and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? So it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? All right. So let me see. Yeah. So the film focuses on Alice, which is played by Mila Jokovic, um, captured by the Umbrella Corporation, forcing her to make her escape from an underwater facility in the extreme north used for testing the T virus. The T virus, damn, that's scary, man. Of course, that's scary, man. And obviously, Mila Jokovic, Michelle Rodriguez, Kevin Durant, Sienna Guillory, Sean Roberts, uh, Ariana Engineer, Colin Salmon, Johan Erb, Boris Kojo, and Lee Bing Bing. Oh shit. All right. So written and directed by Anderson, Retribution was planned to be filmed back to back with the sixth installment, but Anderson decided to focus on the fifth film. Filming took place in Toronto, Ontario from mid October to December 23rd, 2011. The film has many returning actors and characters, along with new characters from the video games not feared. No, excuse me, not featured in the previous films, including Leon S. Kennedy, Ada Wong, and Barry Burton. The film was released in 2D, 3D, and IMAX 3D to a box office success, grossing over $240 million worldwide, and received generally negative reviews from critics who criticized the characters, plot and acting, while praising the 3D visual effects and fight choreography. The DVD and Blu-ray for the film was released on December 21st, 2012 in the US. A sixth film, Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, was released in 2016. Okay. Yes. And the budget is $65 million, and it made $240.2 million. All right. So let's see. I'm not even gonna go to the production, man. All right, let's go to the reception. All right, so United States and Canada. Resident Evil Retribution opened at number one in 3,012 theaters, beating out the 3D re-release of Finding Nemo. During its opening weekend, the film grossed 21 million $52,227. Domestically, an average of $6,989 for each theater, which makes the film the second lowest domestic opening weekend in the series, with the lowest being the original Resident Evil, $17.7 million, though it sold the least tickets. The audience in the opening weekend was 64% male and 55% were 25 years of age or older. Regular 3D showings accounted for 48% of ticket sales, while IMAX 3D contributed 14% and other large format showings contributed 4%. In its second weekend, the film dropped to fifth place behind newcomers and The Watch, Jennifer Lawrence's House of the End of the Street, and Trouble with the Curve, with $66.7 million on the domestic charts. With a 68% decline from its previous weekend, this makes the worst domestic drop so far for a Resident Evil film. Its third weekend grossed $2.9 million, making a lighter 55% decrease and putting it into the number 8 spot. International territories, Resident Evil Retribution broke the series record for the highest worldwide opening with $49.6 million, beating out Afterlife's opening of over $39 million. In its opening weekend, the film was strongest in Asia, where it had the best 2012 Hollywood debut so far. In Japan, $11.2 million, Taiwan, $4.4 million, and Malaysia, $2 million. Its premiere in South Korea, $2 million, was underwhelming, where it underperformed to the local film Masquerade, $7.3 million. Its premiere in South Korea, $2 million, was underwhelming, where it underperformed. Yeah, I already read that part. Elsewhere, the movie did very good business in Russia, $8.5 million, and Brazil, $3.1 million, but was disappointing in Australia, $1.5 million. The film retained the number 1 spot in its second weekend, grossing $30.5 million for a new foreign total of $103.8 million. Its top market was once again Japan, where it eased 27% to $6.3 million. Its new debuts included Germany, $3.6 million, and Mexico, $3.5 million. In its third weekend, the film dropped to the number 2 spot behind Looper, making $21.1 million. It had its premiere in France, $2 million, Italy, $1.4 million, and the United Kingdom, $1.3 million. So the film broke $200 million in its fourth weekend, notably due to its opening in Spain, $1.4 million. Worldwide, the film grossed $240 million after the movie opened in China on 17th of March. Although this does not match its predecessor's gross of $300 million, it still ranks as the second highest grossing in the series. The highest grossing foreign film in Japan in 2012, 7th overall, and the highest grossing Canadian film of 2012, and the second of all time behind Afterlife. Yeah. Critical response, according to the review aggregator, Rotten Tomatoes gives the film a score of 28% based on reviews from 74 critics, with an average rating of 4.3 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, in quote, Resident Evil Retribution offers everything one might reasonably expect from the fifth installment in a heavily action-dependent franchise, which means very little beyond stylishly hollow CGI enhanced set pieces. On Metacritic, the film received a weighted average score of 39 out of 100 based on reviews from 17 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. Cinema Score polls reported that the average grade moviegoers gave the film was a C plus on an A plus to F scale. Jim Vegvoda at IGM gave the film a 6 out of 10, saying even with all its dopey dialogue, wooden characters, and been there, done that elements, Resident Evil Retribution is pretty amazing as far as entries in this series go. It certainly feels more like a video game and has a bit more emotion to it than some of the past Resident Evil sequels. But if you don't like this series, then there's not much here to make you suddenly warm up to it. Clark Collis from Entertainment Weekly also gave the film a mostly positive review, stating that that writer director W.S. Anderson's overseeing of the Resident Evil zombie franchise has proven to be both lunatically haphazard and dementedly enthusiastic. In an interview with film critic Willow McClay, Scott Tafoya at RogerEbert.com said, Retribution posits a sort of femininity simulator as the kind of test of the body's fitness for the wider world, which to me is one of the most fascinating things I've seen in a big action movie. While McClay makes a comparison to Mamoru Oshii's anime movie Angel's Egg as a film about a life-giving creature who is drawn in these hollow worlds she traverses. She says, in quote, I always consider Alice to have a similar projection of ideas of her character, and her motherhood angle in Retribution ties all that together. Alice is not a human woman in the grand scheme of things, but a creation. She is something different. She bears the weight of this layered immortality of constant reincarnation and redefinition that I think is human when we create families and stories. Okay, on to the Canadian Screen Awards and Golden Raspberry Awards. Okay, so best costume. So Wendy Partridge got a nomination for best costume design. Stephen Barton, Steve Bain, Kevin Banks, Alex Bullock, and Jill Purdy all got nominations for Best Achievement in Sound Editing. And Dennis Barati, Jason Edward, Matt Glover, Trey Harrow, Leanne Harvey, Joe Hughes, Ethan Lee, Scott Riopel, Eric Robertson, and Kyle Yoneda, along with Resident Evil Retribution, all gotten an award for the Golden Reel Award and Best Achievement in Visual Effects. And Mia Jokovic got a nomination for Worst Actress Golden Raspberry Awards. God damn. Really though? I can't believe they have this bullshit called the Golden Raspberry Awards. What the hell is this shit about, man? Like, really? Like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man. Like, really? I can't believe they just came up with this bullshit, man. I don't know why. To say that a person is the worst actress, like, come on. And finally, there's Resident Evil: The Final Chapter. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter is a 2016 action horror film written and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. The direct sequel to Resident Evil Retribution. 2012. It is the sixth installment of the Resident Evil film series and the final installment in the original series, which is based on the video game series of the same name. The film stars Mia Jovovich, Ian Glenn, Ali Lauder, Sean Roberts, and Owen Mackin, Fraser James, Ruby Rose, Rolla, and William Levy. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute, man. Wait a minute here, man. I didn't know Ruby Rose was in this movie. Are you serious? Hold on. Wait a minute here. Oh, that's the actress. That's the actress. Yeah, that's the actress. Yeah, that's the actress. Yeah, that's the actress. Yes. Okay, there we go. Oh, Rolla. Yeah. I already read that part already. In the film, Alice and her friends are betrayed by a clone of Albert Wesker, who gathers the entire forces of Umbrella into one final strike against the apocalypse survivors. Oh boy. Um. Yeah. So. Um. So the release dates in Tokyo was December 23rd, 2016, January 25th, 2017, France, January 26th, 2017, Germany, United States, January 27th, 2017, and February 3rd, 2017 in the United Kingdom. The budget was $40 million and it made $312.2 million. Okay, the sixth and final film in the series, subtitled The Final Chapter, was announced to be in development by Sony Pictures, which was filmed in 2D and was converted to stereoscopic 3D. Continuing from the previous film, Anderson expresses his desire for the final film to come full circle, bringing back characters, themes, and the environment of the Hive from the first film. Principal photography commenced on September 18, 2015 in South Africa. Resident Evil, the final chapter, was released on December 23rd, 2016 in Japan and on January 27th, 2017 in the United States in 2D, 3D, and IMAX 3D. The film received mixed reviews and became the highest grossing film in the franchise, earning over $312 million worldwide against a $40 million budget. A reboot of Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was released November 24th, 2021. I will get to that next. Resident Evil, the final chapter, grossed $26.8 million in the United States and Canada and $285.4 million in other territories for a worldwide total of $312.2 million against a production budget of $40 million. In North America, the film was released alongside A Dog's Purpose and Gold and was projected to gross around $13 million from 3,050 theaters in its opening weekend. Yeah, in its opening weekend. It made $1 million from Thursday night previews and $5.1 million on its first day. It ended up opening to $13.9 million, the lowest debut of the franchise, and finished fourth at the box office. Despite the film being trimmed by 7 minutes, totaling only 99 minutes, likely thanks to the violent, intolerant state administration of the press, publication, radio, film, and television. The film opened on February 24, 2017. In China, across 11,000 screens, earning $30 million on its opening day. Through its opening weekend, the film made $636.9 million. That's actually yuan. That's $92.7 million. This marks the biggest Friday through Sunday debut ever for an imported film, topping such heavyweights as Transformers: Age of Extinction. Excuse me. Um, 632 million yuan. That's dollars, folks. If you don't know what that means, and Captain America: Civil War, 628 million yuan. And that's dollars actually, and the second biggest for all films behind only Lost in Thailand. However, figures vary slightly by different outlets. Shanghai-based cinema consulting firm Artisan Gateway had its opening weekend at $93.9 million, while the film studio Sony Pictures came in even higher with $94.3 million. Mainland China was the movie's highest grossing foreign market, contributing $160 million from the box office. And critical response. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter received mixed reviews from critics. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 37% based on 102 reviews and an average rating of 4.5 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads: Resident Evil: The Final Chapter may prove numbingly chaotic for the uncovered, but for fans of the venerable franchise, it offers a fittingly kinetic conclusion to its violent post-apocalyptic saga. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score 49 out of 100, based on 19 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B on an A plus to F scale. Okay. Alex Welch of IGN was critical of the film, giving 3 out of 10 and calling it a pointless mess from beginning to end, and nothing more than a barrage of cliched character beats, unbearable CGI action, and headache-inducing editing. Glenn Kenny for the New York Times writes, "This is, I think, the weakest picture in the franchise. The decision not to bring back surviving characters from the previous films, notably Jill, Leon, and Ada, was a particular draw for criticism, with many voicing disappointment over a lack of closure for said characters and a sense of anti climax following the cliffhanger ending of the previous movie that had implied their inclusion in a follow-up." Bill Z. Wecker of Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 3 stars out of 4, saying it gets the storyline right off the bat. He adds, "For fans of Resident Evil, I believe this final film would not disappoint, but it also will likely encourage newcomers to the saga to go back and play a bit of catch up by watching the earlier movies." Peter Bradshaw of the Guardian says Jokovic and Glenn do their best with what they are given, and the digital rendering of that wrecked vista of Washington D.C. is impressive, but in dramatic terms, it's as um perfunctory really presented as everything else. Another deafening, boring episode. Oh, come on. Okay, now to the Golden Trailer Awards. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter, Last Humanity, won for Golden Fleece. Also, it got nominated. Also, the Resident Evil: The Final Chapter got nominated for Best Teaser TV Spot for a feature film, and also the Best Viral Campaign. Resident Evil: The Final Chapter got a nomination as well. And before I go on, let's take a look to see how much time I got. All right. All right. In May 2017, Martin Moskowitz announced a reboot is in development. On the same month it was announced James Wan would produce the reboot with Greg Russo script. In December 2018, John as Roberts was hired as writer and director. James Wan later left his role as producer. In October 2020, Deadline reported that several characters had been cast for the movie and that the movie would be an origin story set in 1998. The film was released on November 24th, um, 2021. Let's take a look at this. Okay, so yeah, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is a 2021 horror film written and directed by John S. Roberts, adapted from the stories of the first and second games by Capcom, excuse me. It serves as a reboot of the Resident Evil film series and the seventh live action film overall, which was loosely based on the video game series of the same name. The film stars Kaya um, S- S- Scodelario, Hannah John Kamen, Robbie Amell, Tom Hopper, Avon, excuse me, Avon Jogia, Donnell Log, and Neil McDonald. Set in 1998, it follows a group of survivors trying to survive during a zombie outbreak in the small town of Raccoon City. Damn, son. Okay. And yeah, it was okay, so obviously Sony Pictures releasing US and UK, Constantine Film, Elevation Pictures. It was released November 19th, 2021 in Paris, November 24th, 2021 in the United States, November 25th, 2021 Germany, December 3rd, 2021 in United Kingdom. Okay, so the budget was $25 million. Box office, it made $41.8 million. Development took place in early 2017 after Resident Evil: The Final Chapter was released, with producer James Wan expressing interest in the project. Later, Constantine Film chairman Martin Moskowitz said that a reboot of the film series was in development. In the same month, Wan was called to produce the reboot with a script by Greg Russo. Subsequently, Roberts was hired as both writer and director, and both Wan and Russo left the project. Filming began on October 17th, 2020, in Greater Sudbury, Ontario, Canada. The film underwent reshoots in May 2021. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City had its world premiere at the Grand Rex in Paris on November 19th, 2021, and was theatrically released on November 24th, 2021 in the United States by Sony Pictures Releasing. The film received mixed reviews from critics, with its faithfulness to the first two games being praised. It became a modest box office success, grossing over $41.8 million worldwide against a $25 million budget, and top digital rental charts in its first 3 weekends of release. Okay, here we go with reception. Um, As of April 23rd, 2022, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City has grossed $17 million in the United States and Canada and $24.9 million in other territories, for a worldwide total of $41.8 million. In the United States and Canada, the film was released alongside House of Gucci and Encanto, and was projected to gross between $8 to $10 million from 2,803 theaters over its 5-day opening weekend. The film opened nationwide on Wednesday, November 24th, 2021 and made $2.5 million on its first day, including the $935,000 from Tuesday night previews from a total of 225,000 theater admissions. The film went on to make $8.85 million in its first 5 days, placing fifth. Audiences were 64% male as well as 68% between the ages of 18 and 34. In its second weekend, the film earned $2.69 million. In its third, the film made $1.66 million and finished sixth at the box office. The film was 10th in its fourth weekend, earning $316,480 from 719 theaters. Outside the U.S. and Canada, the film earned $5.1 million from 15 markets in its opening weekend and made $4.2 million in its second weekend, and $2.3 million in its third. In Thailand, the film earned $253,735 from the box office. Japan was the film's highest grossing foreign market, contributing $5.1 million from the box office. All right, critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, the film has an approval rating of 30% based on 86 reviews, with an average rating of 4.9 out of 10. The site's critical consensus reads, Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City is an affectionately faithful adaptation that further proves its source material is ill-suited to the big screen. Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 44 out of 100 based on 21 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Stay with me. Need a sip of water. All right. All right. So audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of C+ on an A+ to F scale, while those at PostTrack gave it a 61% positive score, with 48% saying they would definitely recommend it. In a positive review, Johnny Olesinski, from the New York Post gave 3 out of 4 stars and said the film is empty-headed good fun that's blessedly under 2 hours and has just enough character development to make you kind of care when someone gets bitten. Ferdosa Abdi from Screen Rant called it a fun and faithful adaptation of the games, but was lacking in character substance. Sean Kane from CNET praised the film. Despite the lack of scares, minor tweaks to the game's lore, and overall silliness, director Johannes Roberts' love for Resident Evil is clear in every moment of Welcome to Raccoon City, with a barrage of Easter eggs and fascinating takes on classic characters. The film's a gleeful trip back to the Spencer Mansion and Raccoon Police Department aimed squarely at fans. Taylor Lyles of IGN gave the film a 6 out of 10 score, explaining, in quote, Director Mr. Roberts does deserve some credit for sticking much more closely to the source material than the Paul W.S. Anderson films, but a short runtime, a rushed third act, and lack of elements to make it truly scary to watch in the dark hold it back immensely. Nevertheless, it should serve as decent fun for fans of the Resident Evil games. In a mixed review, Mark Hansen from Slant gave 2 out of 4 stars and wrote, Roberts clearly establishes the hauntingly depressed industrial environment of Raccoon City while methodically spacing out his zombie attacks, which, while not especially innovative, at times put a pit in your stomach like the Resident Evil games do. Charles Charles Bramsco of the AV Club gave a C plus and called it totally bereft of the visual distinction of or creative personality that often made its predecessors intriguing diamonds in the rough. Nick Shagger from Variety criticized the bevy of unexplained details, dropped subplots, paper thin characterizations, and fright free mayhem. Kimberly Myers from the Los Angeles Times also gave a negative review, noting the film may reward longtime fans of the video games by returning to the series' origins, but others will find themselves wanting to leave town, much like the movie's characters. Now, wait a minute here. Wait a minute here, man. There's a TV show in regards to Resident Evil. Let's get to that right now, man. I remember. Okay, wait a second. So there is a TV show actually with the same name. So okay. All right. So Resident Evil, known in Japan as Biohazard, is a Japanese horror game series and media franchise created by Capcom. It consists of survival horror, third-person shooter, and wait a second. Wait a minute here. Yeah. Person shooter games, which with players typically. Hold on a second. Hold on a minute. That's not what I meant to do. Sorry. I'll get to the video game part next. Let's get to the TV series. Resident Evil is an American action horror streaming television series developed by Andrew Dabb for Netflix, loosely based on the video game series of the same name by Capcom. It is the second television adaptation of the franchise after the animated miniseries Infinite Darkness 2021, and the third live action adaptation after the film series of the same name and the reboot film Welcome to Raccoon City 2021. The series is set in its own universe but features the video game series storyline as its backstory and basis. So this is different from the movie cast. So the cast includes Ella Balinska, Tamara Smart, Sienna Agudong, um, Eldolyn Rudolph, Paola Nunez, and Lance Reddick. Okay, so this was released July 14th, 2022 of this year. The series features an ensemble cast, of course, by Lance Reddick as the clones of Albert Wesker, Ella Balinska, and Edelyn Rudolph as Wesker's children, Tamara Smart and Sienna Agudong as the daughters of younger selves, and Paola Nunez as James Marcus's daughter, Evelyn. It alternates between 2 timelines following Jade and Billy Wesker during their days in New Raccoon City, where they discover their fathers and Umbrella Corporation's dark secrets, and 14 years in the future, where Jade tries to survive the end of the world. In 2019, Netflix began development with Constantine film. The right um the rights holders the rights holders who had previously produced the film series as the production company involved. The series was formally announced in 2020, having been greenlit as an 8 episode series with each episode 1 hour in length. Dab was hired as showrunner alongside a number of other Netflix projects. Due to delays brought on by the COVID-19 pandemic, production was delayed 8 months and took place from February to July 2021. Resident Evil premiered on July 14, 2022, to mixed reviews from critics. Um, okay, can we not? So, all right, let's go over the marketing. While Netflix maintained a press embargo on the series and during principal photography, a synopsis for an early series pitch was accidentally published and then deleted. Similarly, an early copy of the first episode's script was published on the Internet Archive before being taken down in a copyright complaint. The series was officially announced in August 2020, with Andrew Dabb posting the front page of the completed Welcome to Raccoon City script, with the principal cast being announced near the end of filming in June 2021. Marketing for the series proper began on November 30th, 2021, with the opening of an official Instagram page for the series, which posted an image of a mutant dog which was set to appear. Two trailers were released online on May 11, 2022, with the first two episodes aired as at a private press screening. And attendance Deb described the original universe of the show as featuring the video games as their backstory and basis. And yes, as I said, it was released July 14th, which was last month. So the reception, the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported a 53% approval rating, with an average rating of 5.8 out of 10 based on 47 critic reviews. The website's critics consensus reads, while Resident Evil comes closer than previous adaptations to honoring the beloved video games, uh, uh, labyrinth, labyrinth, labyrinthine lore. This zombie serial could still use more brains. Really? On Metacritic, the first season has a score of 53 out of 100 based on 16 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews, actually. Audiences, according to Samba TV 988K, UK households watched the premiere of the series during its first 4 days streaming on Netflix. The series premiere over indexed most with Black and Hispanic reviewers by um, 29% and 27% respectively. According to Forbes, the series debuted as the number two, then climbed to number one in a few days, dethroning Stranger Things season 4. The series continues to be popular as it holds the number one spot as the most streamed show on Netflix. Top 10 in over 92 countries, holds the number two global top 10 Netflix during its first 4 days. All right, so as I said before, I'm actually going to go over to let's go to the all right, let's go to the video game chamber, man. As I started with the video game version, let's get into it right here. All right. Now we go to the video game section right now of Resident Evil. So Resident Evil in Japan as Biohazard is a Japanese horror game series and media franchise created by Capcom. It consists of survival horror, third-person shooter, and first-person shooter games, with players typically surviving in environments filled with zombies and other creatures. The franchise has expanded into a live-action film series, animated films, television series, which I just reviewed not too long ago, comic books, novels, audio dramas, and other media and merchandise. Resident Evil is the highest grossing horror franchise. So the first Resident Evil was created by Shinji Mikami and Takoro Fujiwara and released for the PlayStation in 1996. It is created for defining the survival horror genre and returning zombies to popular culture. With Resident Evil 4 2005, the franchise shifted to more dynamic shooting action. It influenced the evolution of the survival horror and third person genres, popularizing the over the shoulder third person view. Resident Evil 7 Biohazard 2017 moved the series to a first person perspective. Capcom has also released three Resident Evil remakes: Resident Evil 2002, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 2 2019, and Resident Evil 3 2020, with a Resident Evil 4 remake scheduled for 2023, which is next year. Resident Evil is Capcom's best-selling franchise with 127 million copies sold worldwide as of June 22. Excuse me, June 2022, and is the best-selling horror game series. The first Resident Evil film was released in 2002, followed by 5 sequels and a reboot, Welcome to Raccoon City. The film received generally negative reviews, but have grossed more than $1.2 billion, making Resident Evil the second highest grossing video game film series. Wow. I didn't know it made over $1 billion. The first Resident Evil film was released in 2002. Yeah, I already read that part. Let's see. Oh boy. Now we go to the game. Well, let's see. Let's go to the gameplay. The Resident Evil franchise has had a variety of control schemes and gameplay mechanics throughout its history. Puzzle solving has figured prominently throughout the series. Tank controls. The first game introduced a control scheme that the player community has come to refer to as tank controls to the series. In a game with tank controls, players control movement relative to the position of the player characters, rather than relative to fixed virtual camera from which the player views the current scene. Pressing up, for example, on a D-pad, analog stick, or cursor movement keys. On the game controller moves the character in the direction being faced. Pressing down back pedals and left and right rotates the character. This can feel counterintuitive when the character is facing the camera, as the controls are essentially reversed in this state. Excuse me. This differs from many 3D games in which characters move in the direction, in the direction of the player pushes the controls from the perspective of the camera. Some critics have posited that the control scheme is intentionally clumsy, meant to enhance stress and exacerbate difficulty. While the first 3 entries in the series featured this control scheme, the third Resident Evil 3 Nemesis saw some action-oriented additions. These included a 180-degree turn and dodge command that, according to GameSpot, hinted at a new direction that the series would go in. Later games in the series, like Resident Evil 4, would feature a more fluid over-the-shoulder third-person camera instead of a fixed camera for each room. The Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village are played from a first-person perspective. Third-person shooter gameplay, Resident Evil 4 saw significant changes to the established gameplay, including switching from fixed camera perspectives to a tracking camera and more action-oriented gameplay and mechanics. This was complemented by an abundance of ammunition and revised aiming and melee mechanics. Some critics claim that this overhaul control scheme made the game less scary. The next two games in the franchise furthered the action-oriented mechanics. Resident Evil 5 featured cooperative play and added strafing, while Resident Evil 6 allowed players to move while aiming and shooting for the first time, fully abandoning the series' signature tank controls. Of course, first-person gameplay and VR, virtual reality is what it stands for, folks, in case you don't know what that acronym stands for. That's virtual reality. Resident Evil 7 is the first main Resident Evil game to use the first-person perspective and to use virtual reality. It drew comparisons to modern survival horror games such as Outlast and PT. The eighth main series game, Resident Evil Village, and also features a first-person perspective. An AVR version of Resident Evil 4 was released on the Oculus Quest 2 on October 21st, 2021. Okay. Now, let me see. Yeah, I'm not gonna go into the other media parts already. I already reviewed the movies and I just reviewed the TV shows already. Now we go to the reception and legacy. Most of the games in the prominent Resident Evil series have been released to positive reviews. Some of the games, most notably Resident Evil and Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4, have been bestowed with multiple Game of the Year honors and often placed on lists of the best video games ever made. In 1999, Next Generation listed the Resident Evil series as number 13 on their top 50 games of all time. Commenting that flawless graphics, excellent music, and a top-notch storyline all combined to make a game of unparalleled atmosphere and suspense. In 2022, Complex ranked Resident Evil at number 22 on the list of the best video game franchises. That same year, G4 TV called it one of the most successful series in gaming history. Commercial performance as of September 30th, 2021. The series has sold 120 million units worldwide. The first two Resident Evil games has collectively sold approximately 11 million units worldwide by March 1999. By early 2001, the series has sold 17 million units worldwide, earning more than $600 million. By 2011, it had sold about 46 million units and was estimated to have grossed at least more than 1.3 billion in video game sales. It is recognized by Guinness World Records as the best-selling survival horror series, with Resident Evil 5 the best-selling survival horror game as of 2016. 7 of the top 10 best-selling horror games in North America are Resident Evil titles, with Resident Evil 5 and the best-selling horror game as of 2019. The Resident Evil film adaptations also went on to become the highest-grossing film series based on video games by 2012. By 2011, the films had grossed over $600 million at the box office, bringing the franchise's estimated revenue to at least more than $1.9 billion in combined video game sales and box office grossed up until then. As of 2020, the films have grossed more than $1.3 billion in the box office and home video game sales. The success of the video games and films have made Resident Evil the highest grossing franchise in the horror and zombie genres. Now, cultural impact. GameSpot listed the original Resident Evil as one of the 15 most influential video games of all time. It is credited with defining and popularizing the survival horror genre of games. Hang on a second. All right. Yeah. It is also credited with taking video games and cinematic direction with its B movie style cutscenes, including live action full motion video footage. Its live action opening, however, was controversial. It became one of the first action games to receive the mature 17 plus M rating from the Entertainment Software Rating Board, despite the opening cutscene being censored in North America. The Resident Evil franchise is credited with sparking a revival of the zombie genre in popular culture, leading to a renewed interest in zombie films during the 2000s. Resident Evil also helped redefine the zombie genre, playing an important role in its shift from supernatural themes to scientific themes by using science to explain the origins of zombies. And according to Kim Newman, Newman, oh shit. Hold up. Hold up, man. That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That's crazy right there, man. that's 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 not the first time I ever saw somebody's last name Newman, which is from Seinfeld, by the way, in case you didn't know, folks. Oh shit. Oh man. Yeah, Kim Newman in the book Nightmare Movies, 2011. The zombie revival began in the Far East mainly due to the 1996 Japanese zombie games Resident Evil and the House of the Dead, which I reviewed recently. And George Romero in 2013 said it was the video games Resident Evil and the House of the Dead more than anything else that popularized his zombie concept in early 21st century popular culture. In a 2015 interview with Huffington Post, screenwriter director Alex Garland credited the Resident Evil series as a primary influence on his script for the horror film 28 Days Later, which came out in 2002, and credited the first Resident Evil game for revitalizing the zombie genre. Screenwriter Edgar Wright cited Resident Evil 2 as a primary influence on his zombie comedy film Shaun of the Dead 2004. With the film star and co-writer Simon Pegg also crediting the first game with starting the zombie revival in popular culture. The Walking Dead comic book creator Robert Kirkman cited Resident Evil as his favorite zombie game, while the Walking Dead television series director Greg Nicotero credited Resident Evil and the House of the Dead with introducing the zombie genre to a whole generation of younger people who didn't grow up watching Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Additionally, the first Resident Evil film adaptation also contributed to the revival of zombie films, with the success of the film and the games resulting in zombies achieving greater mainstream prominence and several zombie films being greenlit, such as the video game film adaptation House of the Dead, which came out 2003. The remake Dawn of the Dead which came out 2004, and Romero's Land of the Dead 2004. The Resident Evil films 28 Days Later and Dawn of the Dead remakes all set box office records for the zombie genre, reaching levels of commercial success not seen since the original Dawn of the Dead 1978. They were followed by other zombie films such as 28 Weeks Later, which came out 2007, Zombieland 2009, Cockneys versus Zombies to 2012, and World War Z 2013, as well as zombie-themed graphic novels and television shows such as The Walking Dead and The Returned, and books such as World War Z 2006, Pride and Prejudice and Zombies 2009, and Warm Bodies 2010. The zombie revival trend was popular across different media until the mid 2010s. But the zombie video games have remained popular, as seen as the commercial success of Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2 remake, and Days Gone in 2019. Okay. All right. So that was the. Now, hold on a minute here. Now, I don't know how many Resident Evil games I'm going to actually review here. Let me see. I'm not sure how many I'm going to review, so I'm not sure. Yes. Okay, hold on a minute here. Righty. Not sure how I'm going to review this, but let me see. Let me see if there's anything else. Okay, this is the history. Oh, okay, this is the history. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. I'm not sure if I'm going to review all these games, but I may save this for I may come back to the games of the Resident Evil games because I might not have enough time to actually do all this, but I'm gonna save the review of the Resident Evil games for a future episode. So I'm gonna get back to that though. I'm not gonna have time to do it in this episode. So there you go, right there. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this episode right here. Listen. If you'd like to make a charitable donation to support the show right here, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast Review Show, and along with my other shows, Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast and Sports Edition Show, actually, and my number one show, Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Podcast, and of course, you're more than welcome to actually do that. No matter what the amount of money you decide to choose and you're comfortable with, will be appreciated. So don't worry about having a lot of money. It's not about that. So yeah, I'm gonna actually get into okay, let's get into podcast free game mechanisms for a second right here, man. Let me cue the chimes real quick, man. All right. Now for those of you who are interested in making a podcast like I'm doing right now, with 3 shows underneath of my belt, yeah, there's some key things that you need to start a podcast, and I got y'all. on how to do that. So the first thing that you need is some headphones. And of course, you also need a microphone. Now, it doesn't have to be anything too expensive. It could be a Yeti microphone. It could be the microphone that I'm using, which is the Voxcon A800, which I bought from Target. You can find microphones in Best Buy. You can find it in Target. You can find it in Amazon, and you can also find it in Walmart as well. And you also now before I get to the laptop situation, if you have a unique name title of your podcast and you want to make sure that it's a unique title that nobody has ever heard before, um, you know what I'm saying? It could be something positive, yeah, it could be something positive. Um, so it doesn't matter who fucking likes the title of your show or not. It doesn't really matter though, man. As long as it suits you and represents who you are as a person or whatever the case scenario may be. Will That's what really matters here. Now you also need a laptop and a supporting software. You need a laptop to actually have um, um, a YouTube channel to do your live streams. Now, this is where StreamYard comes in. Now, it is a software where you are able to use Twitch. I don't use LinkedIn. That's also included as well. Facebook is included, and also the YouTube channels. The YouTube, which is what I use mainly for my live stream for the 3 podcast weekly shows that I do, and of course, it allows you to create an account. You put your email or your podcast email address on there. That way, you'll be able to get an email address. Excuse me. Yeah, email. Actually, email. Email is what I was trying to say. Yeah, you can get an email that has the 6 numbers. You copy the 6 numbers, which is your login code key. You paste it to the rectangle space online, and once you paste it, you're gonna log in, and you should be good to go on setting up your schedule on how many days you're trying to do your live stream episodes and stuff like that. And what I also wanted to say is that StreamYard allows you to send invite links to people to come to your live stream, whether it's the chat or the other stuff right there, man. I actually, hold on a minute here. I actually, let me see. Let me see something here. Yeah. So, yeah, it'll allow you to actually invite some people that you know, and I'm pretty sure you're able to be able to and depending on the day exactly of when you invite those individuals, like your friends, you should be okay, man. You know what I mean? That should really matter. That's what really matters right here, though. Um, and of course, yeah. So, um, that was your podcast free game mechanisms, some free game that I always like to give you. If you have any questions for me and you don't know what typical equipment that you need to start a podcast, I will gladly help you and guide you. You know what I'm saying? It saves you the trip to a music. It saves you the trip to an expensive store like Sam Ash or any other place whatsoever that's so expensive. So you know what I'm saying? And yeah. So all right. So let's get into. We're gonna get into. Um, all right, we're gonna get into the last segment of the night, and this is pertaining to. Um, and this is pertaining to stream choices on the go, man. Let's do this. Be sure to follow this show right here, Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast, and also the people from the people who are from Designer Jewelers. Make sure you follow these guys from Designer Jewelers. They are jewelers from Roosevelt Field Mall. If you're in the Long Island area and you want to look fly with your outfits and all that other stuff, you can go to Designer Jewelers. And also you can also follow Luxury Jewelers as well. Both of these places got some fly stuff. So, you know what I'm saying? Whatever preference you prefer to go to, you know what I mean? Makes it a lot easier and stuff. So these are the two you should follow. Design Jewelers and Luxury Jewelers. They're on Instagram. If you have it, you can go ahead and follow them. Check out their spots right there on Roosevelt Field Mall. And you can also follow my other shows, Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast, the Sports Edition show. I just did episode 32. Make sure you check that out as well. And I just dropped it today on streaming platforms, so you can listen to stream. And also you can follow Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast on Facebook and Instagram as well. And episode 174 and 175 will be posted to the audio streaming platforms, including YouTube, by next week. I couldn't record because I have to wait till past August 14th. So that's like 2 days away. So that's not too bad from there. So anyway, um, man, let's get to the and also you can also yeah. So Off the Meat Rack Chains New York podcast has been postponed to August 17th of next week. It will be back with episode 175 and the rest. And also you follow me on the gram, which is G Money Stacks 555 in Queens, New York. So there you go, right there. Make sure you turn on your notifications for updates of when each episode is going to be dropping and all that other good stuff right there. And like I said, this episode will be dropping starting on Friday tomorrow. So the new schedule of the audio streaming platform episodes will be dropping not only on Tuesdays, but also a day that's included, which is Fridays as well and Saturdays as well. So Tuesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays is when you'll get the audio episodes being dropped. All right. And if anything comes up, I'll probably drop it the next day or two. So you know what I'm saying? So now that I got that out the way, um it's time to actually include the streaming platforms on the go where you can listen and stream these episodes. Also, you can go to the link in bio where it says Linktree/Meticulous Vibe Juice Podcast. All right. And and um and you can leave a voice message if you have any comments, any thoughts, talks, Um, any ideas that you want me to review, whether it's music artists, whether it's TV shows, movies, um, video games. Actually, I forgot something, man. I forgot something right there, man. Which reminds me, I forgot something. Some gaming news. I forgot to mention that right there. Before I go to the audio streaming platforms on the go, let's get into some gaming news real quick on some upcoming games that's coming out. Let me get to I'm gonna go there real quick though on some upcoming games that's coming out this month. So for the month of August, let's get into it. So what we have here is let me see. So of course, obviously tomorrow, Marvel Spider-Man is coming out August 12th. I did that already. Blossom Tales 2, The Monitor Prince, um, for Nintendo Switch and PC, August 16th. Roller Drome, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, PC, August 16th. Kirby's Dream Buffet, Nintendo Switch, August 17th. Curse to Golf, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, August 18th. RPG Time, The Legend of Right, Nintendo Switch, August 18th. Dimesia, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PC, August 18th. We are OFK, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Switch, PC, August 18th. Madden NFL 23 on PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. August 19th, Midnight Fight Express, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. August 23rd, Saints Row, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. August 23rd. And F1 Manager, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, August 25th. And also coming out August 25th is SD Gundam Battle Alliance, PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC, August 25th. Hold on. Stay with me. Hold on. All right, so another game that's coming out in August, which is Pac-Man World Repack. PlayStation 5, Xbox Series, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Switch, PC, August 26th. All right, I'm gonna stop right there, man. I'm gonna stop right there. I'll handle the rest in the next episode. Um, so now for where you can listen to the episodes on audio streaming platforms. Make sure you follow the shows on every audio streaming platform, starting with Anchor, Audible, Audacity, Amazon Music, Breaker, Castbox FM, Deezer, Listen Notes, Moon FM Podcast, Player FM, Pocket Cast, Podfriend, Podopolo, Podorama, Podcast Index, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podverse, Reason FM, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Podcasts, and feel free to give a 5-star rating on Podchaser, Podfriend, and Spotify. That'll be appreciated right there. And also, you can listen to Meticulous Vibe Juice podcast episodes on Radio Public, iHeartRadio, the number one app for music, radio, and podcasts. Make sure you follow my other two shows that's also on iHeartRadio, which is Excellent, Fun, Vibrant Podcast, the Sports Edition Show, and Off the Meat Rack Chains New York Podcast, which is also on iHeartRadio. And it will make its return on August the 17th of next week. So don't you worry. If you didn't see episode 175 that wasn't recorded, don't worry. You have a recent episode that's on YouTube, which is episode 174. I'm going to post that episode on Wednesday of next week. 175 will be posted on Friday of next week. So, and last but not least, the YouTube. Make sure you grab that subscribe button and click on the naughty bell so you can be reminded when the show goes in the air via live stream. And time reminders of when the recording is going to start. Leave a like and a comment along with the episodes, with the topics reviews that was discussed today. And of course, make sure you listen, stream, share the episodes, share the videos. Make sure you tell a friend to another friend. Spread the word. Word of mouth is important. And of course, make sure you spread the word. Make sure you spread and share the podcast along with the link that says Linktree/Meticulous Vibes Podcast, with your husbands, your wives, your boyfriends, your girlfriends, your friends, the people you cool with from work, who are morally supporting you in your careers and stuff. And yeah, so like I always say at the end of the show, man, you have to remember the grind does not stop. Hard work pays off. New York wasn't built in a day. And creatively speaking, mentally and creatively speaking, you want to find something that makes you happy mentally, physically, and spiritually, because that's important. Also, what you want to do is, if whatever career field you choose to do, whether it's radio personality, whether it's podcasting, like I'm doing right now with 3 shows under my belt, whatever you decide to do, do yourself a favor and just don't worry about pleasing other people, but please yourself. And also, if you're gonna do podcasting, be on your P's and Q's to create content, record um live videos on YouTube. Of course, spread the word on all your streaming platforms to have people follow you and listen and stream and stuff. If they're in their cars and stuff, chilling, feeling, illing, you know what I'm saying, laid back and shit. Also, another important thing to remember is that it's okay not to be okay. You are only human, and you don't need to overthink and overwhelm yourself. All right, you don't need to blame yourself for anything. And also, I would like to add is, find your voice. That's very important. It's important to find your voice and, find something that clicks to you, that gets you into your zone. So, be confident in your voice, man, especially if you're behind the mic recording, a podcast episode for yourself, radio or whatever. And also, another important thing I want to actually say too is, don't just do it for fame. I was listening to an episode of a show called The Crew Has It, which is based on the Power Universe series of, a Power Book 2, Power Book 3, Power Book 4, and all the other stuff. And what I found interesting about that is that um what they were saying is that it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work that you have to put into, which is what I'm doing right now. There is no shortcuts. That's pretty much what I took from that particular episode, is that there's no shortcuts. You gotta do the work, and don't just do this shit to be famous and clout and all that and buzz and all that other stuff. These three shits, these three bullshits does not last, and they don't last forever. So you don't want to, be known as a clout chaser, which is what I'm not trying to do here. Which I'm not, which is what I'm not trying to do here. So you don't want to actually be considered a clout chaser. Do do the things for the right reasons, which is what I'm doing right now. Um, for the right reasons, you have to know your wins, your whats, your whys, your hows, your wins, all that stuff right there, man. If you're gonna get into podcasting and stuff like that, and you know what I'm saying, and like I previously explained to Be Live on the New York podcast episode 170, is that I started this because I wanted to actually relieve people from stress from the the um the drama from the family, the stress from work, road rage, as far as like the people who are careless drivers or whatever, some shit like that, and all that other stuff. So it's more like therapy, and you know, and it's like a reminder of keeping a journal. You know what I'm saying? So and who is G Money Stacks? You ask. I am a essential worker for a job at Big Lots Supermarket. I'm proud to be an essential worker whatsoever. I'm a hard worker, even though I'm working one day out of a week, but that's okay because if I was to take a second job, I wouldn't have this podcast career now I'm doing right now, which I'm growing it right now. I wouldn't have this if I took two jobs. It doesn't matter what the amount of money, whether it's a good pay or not. It doesn't matter. Um, it Your happiness is what matters here, man, folks. You gotta you have to focus on what makes you happy. Money, money sometimes it's good for a few moments if you are actually treating yourself to some things and stuff like that, but it doesn't really necessarily guarantee happiness, man. You know what I'm saying? So, um, so yeah, man. Like I said, man. Be on your p's and q's in podcasting, creating content, um, and whatever career field you're into. Do it because it makes you happy, not because of what your parents tell you to do. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, this has been a fun episode 75. I'm G Money Stacks. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in and rocking with me on Meticulous Juice podcast review show. This episode will be dropped tomorrow, and I believe we are past the 2 hour mark right here, and I will be uploading it in a couple of minutes. Um, and yeah, and and please be careful out there. Be safe. And I want y'all to, you know, and if you plan on going to any fun events that I just mentioned on the fun activities that I just mentioned on my other show, Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast, episode 32, I did make an announcement on the fun stuff to do for the weekend that's coming up from August 12th to the 14th. If you want to check out episode 32 of Excellent Fun Vibrant Podcast. I made the announcement on where you can actually find some fun activities to do for the Californians out there in California and New Yorkers as well. Um, so I got y'all with that one right there. So there you go, right there. So yeah, that's gonna do it for me. I'm out of here. I'm off this shit. Thank you very much for listening and tuning in and rocking with me. And I'll see y'all in the next episode. Appreciate y'all. Peace and one love. And make sure you follow Design Jewelers on Instagram alongside with Luxury Jewelers. Of course, make sure you follow these guys from Lotto Universal. That's also on Instagram as well for their clothing merches and socks and stuff like that. And you know the rest, man. You know the jizz right there, man. So peace and well love. And of course, have a good night, folks.